over the last 8 to 10 years now, I've had a wonderful opportunity to work with a wide number of people all over the States and internationally, including in Brazil. It's been almost 10 years now, about eight or 9 years, I've been working with a core group of people in Brazil who I first met when they came over to the States to do a training, and were clearly very committed and engaged and wanted to bring this practice back to Brazil. And so we began collaborating, and it started with, I started coming over to Brazil. I've come several times now, 5 or 6 times, and helping with trainings and such, and also collaborating with some of the research that's going on here. And then it's been a really beautiful process of really handing over this training and this program to an incredibly trustworthy group of people here at Unifesp and in Brazil doing this work, and watching the just incredible commitment and integrity of this group, both clinically and the work with the clients, the trainings, just lovely. I keep encouraging more confidence in this, because there's a humility I see in the folks I'm working with here that's beautiful, and also sometimes gets in the way because they're so humble that I'm not sure that they see how wonderful the work is that they're doing. But there's just been an integrity that really shows in the way that these folks are working with clients, and in the research that's being done, the kind of questions that are being asked. At the core of this, again, I think what I see is a practice. There's a commitment in the conversations that we have and the work that we do and the way that we are together that always comes back to personal practice and an openness and a self-questioning of, what is it that I'm doing? Where is ego get in the way ever? And if so, how can we keep an eye on that? What am I really serving? And a real integrity in the service aspect of this, that this is not about us. It's not about being a great teacher. It's not about being a great researcher. It's not about being smart. It's not about any of that. That all helps. But ultimately, it's about getting out of our way and getting all that stuff out of the way so that we can really see what's happening, and so that we can be of service to people who need our help. So in working over the last 10 years or so in many different settings, both in the States but also internationally, it's been really interesting to see the differences and similarities in cultures, and how does this kind of program work in the context of this culture versus this culture. Obviously, there are huge cultural differences. What I'm most struck by, though, is the similarities. So when I come to Brazil versus when I go to Germany, it's very different. The way that people interact, obviously the language, but there are just so many differences around the treatment systems, around interpersonal styles. But what is more striking is that it's the processes and the way that people engage is much more similar than different. And so people are dressed differently, and they sit differently, and the buildings are different, and the language is different, and all of that. But it becomes apparent very quickly that we're so similar across. It's so neat. Internationally, we're so similar. We're all human, and we're all, the people who come to this work and end up really staying in this work and being committed to this work. There's an integrity and a dedication that just shines through and transcends any of the sort of cultural differences or barriers that might be there. So I think there's both ways that we need to pay attention in this work to culture. There are different ways of disseminating treatment, different ways of approaching clients, different ways of approaching research that are important. We need to attend to cultural differences. And I think we also need to recognize that we're ultimately, those are the details, and the foundation of this work is the same. From what I've seen, we're so much alike, even when we don't speak the same language and we don't recognize each other's whatever. There is such a commonality that comes through so quickly. It's clearly a practice that can be universal.